Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. You see it right off the bat. We're going to be driving the number 20 car in the Cup Series, filling in for Erik Jones here at Bristol Motor Speedway. So our first chance and a top ride. Now as you see the Joe Gibbs announcement saying Erik Jones will not be able to compete in tonight's Bristol race. Gary Owen will be in his place. We look forward to having Erik back in the 20 car, hopefully by the next race. So Erik had to get out of the car before the race started, and obviously we were the fill-in, the next in line. Obviously we've had a great Xfinity season, so JGR trusts to put us in here. So Erik already qualified the car, so qualifying was not up to me into this race. We're just hopping in and hoping that we can get a very solid effort out of it. And Joe Gibbs Racing did say that if we can get a top 3 out of this race, then there's a very good chance we're going to be promoted to their Cup Series platform next season here in the career mode. So that's the goal, is to get a top 3 here today in the Cup Series at Bristol Motor Speedway, arguably my best track in the NASCAR Heat Series now, so I could not think of a better location to come to try and get that top 3 as we are underway. You see Jones put the car P12 for qualifying, so we step in his shoes and try to pull off that top 3. And you see the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto, he actually qualified on the pole as he leads down through turns 3 and turns 4 now as we're behind Kyle Busch and Cole Custer side by side as we come through to complete this first lap. Certainly a bit of a difference of just kind of a situation. Obviously every Cup race we've done this season we've been kind of running towards the 20s, other than at Talladega or when we ran the 43 car at Darlington. We actually got up in the top 15, but here we are now running up in P12 here, as we know we're going to have a chance to run very well here in Bristol. But it wasn't the best start for myself here as we came through up the inside of Ryan Newman. Now a few laps later on lap 6, getting into the back of Suarez, got him sideways as we dive down into turns 1, so making a pass on him. We had now entered the top 10, and then as the laps went on here in stage 1, we had really started to get into a bit of a rhythm. I went to the inside of the 9 of Chase Elliott to take over P9. Then we tried to run down Cole Custer in the 41, which I would do now as we came through on lap 11, but I couldn't quite make a pass on him. And then Clint Boyer was able to get to my inside and pass me, and then drive right on past his Stuart Haas Racing teammate of Cole Custer now as we came through down into turns 3 on lap 12. I would, though, finally be able to get past that 41 of Cole Custer. He did try to fight back on the outside down into turns 1, but I would be able to complete the pass now as we came through to lap 16 of 30 here in stage 1. Now back to the 14 of Clint Boyer. I would look to the outside of him, make the pass, and we would take P8 away, then dive to the outside of the 95 of Christopher Bell, who's having a solid first stage here in Bristol now as he runs P7, which will likely be P8 once we pass him here for the position, as we almost get to the outside wall there on the exit of turn 4. Matt Kenseth would be the next target, and sure enough we would run him down here with 11 laps to go, hitting 10 to go in the first stage. The 21 of Matt DiBenedetto was still out front at this point, so we would continue side by side with Kenseth as we came through now on lap 23, as it was 8 to go in the stage now, as he actually gets sideways into turns 1. A little bit of contact between himself and I, and that would cause him to get sideways. I really need to change the way the AI react to contact in this game now as we came through out of turns 4. A big moment as we came through on out of turns 4 on lap 23. I got loose, hit the outside wall, damaged the right front of the car pretty significantly. 8 seconds of repairs necessary here now to get back into this race. So thankfully we did not DNF. Obviously I don't have any custom DNF rules this season or this game in this career mode because we have actual DNFs now. So we decided to come in, repair the car. So far Bristol has not gone like I thought it was going to. I came into this episode saying that, you know, I probably can get right up there into the action, this being one of my best tracks in the NASCAR Heat games. Unfortunately, it has not gone to plan, but we are very fortunate to still be in this race and have a lot of racing to go now as we go down into turns 1 on this restart. Kurt Busch on my outside. We got a couple large names back here like Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman. There was a little bit of contact with the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. He got sideways, but we would pass him through turns 3 now as we came through out of turns 4. So just trying to work my way through as quickly as possible. I had now jumped up to the outside as we came through turns 1 and 2, and just making a bunch of moves here. Now as a little bit of contact is made with the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Then I would get to the outside though of Daniel Suarez, the 37 of Ryan Preece as we came through to start the final lap here in stage 1. Bowman doing the same thing as me, being very aggressive now as we came through, looking to the outside of Watermelon Boy Ross Chastain as we go down the back straight away up into P25 as we dive down into turn 3 behind the 00 of Quinn Hoff now as we come through, crossing the line for P25 in stage 1. Matt DiBenedetto would come through to get the stage 1 victory. So good for him. Now, as we would come to the pit lane for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, I didn't want to make too many adjustments, but I can say I did go up a little bit on the wedge when we did repair the car, and I felt like that was going to be good enough here in the second stage. But now we are underway for the start of stage 2 here in Bristol, side by side with Daniel Suarez. You see, we moved up into P18 after getting P25 in stage 1. We actually get into the back of the 2 of Brad Keselowski there. There was a large checkup, and you're going to notice Matt DiBenedetto, who won stage 1, is actually behind me. You can see in front of us there's a lot of slower cars in the way, not lap traffic, but just cars that were towards the back that would eventually be lap traffic. There's a guy hit from behind by the 12 of Ryan Blaney diving down into turns 3. I look at the back bumper there. Thankfully, it was in good shape, so I wasn't too concerned. Now, as came through just waiting on an opportunity to make a move, but I was thinking doing what Jimmy Johnson just did behind me, and that was jumping up to the far outside. So I decided to do what he did, and sure enough, we come through out of turn 4, passing Corey LaJoie. Then we would pass Erik Jones as we came through out of turns 4, running down the 8 of Tyler Reddick. Chase Elliott on the far inside as I just continued to get up by the wall. Unfortunately, that time too close to the wall because we actually got into it now. But up inside the top 10, there you see Custer going through on the bottom of Brendan Gaughan and Ross Chastain, who were holding up everybody now as we came through turns 3, going up the outside of them. And finally, we get past the majority of the slow cars. We still have David Reagan in the mix now as we came through running P5, and it wasn't until lap 15 of the second stage where I actually ran down Clint Boyer and had a chance to pass him, and I used lap traffic to my advantage to make the pass on Clint Boyer and take over P4 as Denny Hamlin was leading the way at this point in stage 2. Then sure enough, I would run down the 36 of David Reagan. Tyler Reddick actually was coming up through the field with me, but we would try to make that pass on Reagan, and sure enough, we would move into the goal position of P3. Honestly, did not feel like we had a top 3 car at this point in the race, but it was all about just kind of getting lucky there with the slow cars being in the way of other drivers. So then we would run down Kyle Busch, who was running P34, as you can see right there as we come through out of turns 4, but he would start to get through this traffic, and then I would actually move up to the outside like he did. Denny Hamlin was nearly a half a track ahead of me at this point, but so far, a great debut for Joe Gibbs Racing here in the Cup Series, definitely making them hopefully aware of what we can do, and hopefully they will want to hire us for the next season in the career mode now as we come through turns 1 and 2 on the final lap of stage 2, just behind Kyle Busch now as we dive down into turn 3. Bowman and him will battle for the position. There's we send it up the outside of the Hendrick driver. Bowman a little bit of contact on the exit of turns 4, but we both keep it clean coming to the line. P3 in stage 2. So exactly where we need to be here in this second stage so far. So definitely confident going into the final stage here. Denny Hamlin, Cole Custer, myself, Tyler Reddick, and David Reagan all in the top 5. So really, I look at that, other than myself and Hamlin, there's some 3 surprise names, or even you can consider myself to be a surprise name up here in the mix. But to start the third and final stage, we actually lose 2 positions on the pit lane and drop down to P5 now as the green flag is out, and we are underway for the third and final stage. Tyler Reddick will start up front now as he got a good chunk of positions on that pit lane now as we come through out of turns 2. Christopher Bell up here in the mix, David Reagan as well, Brad Keselowski, Erik Jones behind myself as we dive down into turns 3 and turns 4. I was expecting to see Hamlin already back out front because he clearly had a very, very fast car in that second stage, because once he took the lead, he was gone now as we come through down the back straightaway, heading down into turn 3, trying to take over P4, and sure enough, we passed Christopher Bell for that 4th spot as it's Tyler Reddick who would hold on to the lead now as we started lap 67, but then Cole Custer would get to the inside of him and try to put the pressure on now as we came through out of turns 2, heading down the backstretch. So then we came through on lap 70, just barely missed lap 69, unfortunate nice now as we come through out of turns 4. Keselowski actually got up my inside, past me, so I dropped down a position into P5, so I was pretty evident that Keselowski was just way faster than myself at this point, so I didn't want to put too much pressure on him now as we came through, heading down into turn 3, but actually behind us, we have a crash there. The 66 of Timmy Hill went around, collecting Ryan Preece, as you can see. That brings out a caution, and I decided we're going to put right sides on the car, and then put only, I think it was like half a can of fuel, or something like that. So we lose 2 positions now, and drop down to P7, which was a bit of a concern once again, to get going for this restart. Cole Custer, though, P1, and joined along with him on the front row, it's the 2 of Brad Keselowski for Penske Racing, who is no stranger to winning races at this racetrack. Now as we dive down through the exit of the corner, Clint Boyer on my outside, Christopher Bell just up in front of us, as well as we've got Chris Buescher on my outside now, as he gained, I think it was like 11 spots on the pit lane, so either he didn't take tires or he just had an incredible pit stop now as we come through turns 1 and 2, clearing him, so we take over that 6th spot here as we go down the backstretch. Then I would actually kind of get stuck behind Brad Keselowski on the outside and end up losing a spot to the 9 of Chase Elliott. So we drop down back again to P7 now as we come through out of turns 4 at that point. Then we would get up the inside, though, of Brad Keselowski and try to make the pass on him as we dive down into turns 3, and sure enough, we take P6 away, and then I put the pressure on Chase Elliott. We come through on lap 81, looking to the outside of the Napa driver for Hendrick Motorsports, and we take over the 5th position. Only need 2 more spots to be at our goal. Hamlin and Bell side by side right in front of us. We dive to the inside to follow Denny Hamlin past Christopher Bell now, and sure enough, we're going to take over P4 there, nearly making contact with Christopher as we dive down into the corner, but we slide up in front of him to finally complete the pass now. And then we would run down Denny Hamlin, which was very surprising to me because he was so fast, like I mentioned already, in that 2nd stage. So sure enough, we come through out of turns 2 side by side with him and try to take over that 3rd position. Cole Custer kind of in the way right here, and that was the advantage to myself, because as we exit turns 4, we're going to get past Hamlin and as well send it up the outside of Custer, as well as we also move in to that goal position of P3 that was set for us by Joe Gibbs Racing. As we go down into the corner, we clear Cole Custer, then we would set our sights on the 8 car of Tyler Reddick, and like I said, I didn't feel like we had a car good enough to be running up in the top 3, but everything just kind of worked out, and I know that we were at least, though, faster than Tyler Reddick, and sure enough, we would show that because we're side by side racing for the lead here in the Cup Series now as we dive down into turn 3. Of course, at my best track, I expect to be running good here in any car now as we would clear Tyler Reddick for the lead now as we came through to 27 laps to go. Can we somehow get our first Cup Series win when we're not even full-time in the Cup Series? That would be a very special moment as we send it up the inside of the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now as we come through out of turn 4, so just hoping that it was going to stay green, of course, at this point now as we come through. Ryan Blaney had actually come into the mix at this point. He had gotten up into 3rd as I was struggling there on the outside of the 49 car, but Blaney would follow me through and get up into 2nd place, and then I realized right off the bat Blaney was hauling, because as soon as we got away from the lap traffic, he goes up my inside now as we come through out of turn 4 side by side with Austin Dillon, clearing him down into turns 1, but it's pretty evident all of a sudden that my chances of winning this race have gone down quite a bit as Ryan Blaney has gotten into the mix, and I went down into turns 3, sending it in pretty hard and still had nothing for him. So I realized that I have just nothing for Ryan Blaney at this point with 22 laps to go, so I was like, okay, we're probably going to have to settle in here for the 2nd position now as we come through out of turns 2, still in this whole lap traffic disaster up the inside of Ryan Preece, but that would, the lap traffic would at least keep me within range of Ryan Blaney in case something goes wrong now as we come through out of turns 4. Now hitting just 15 laps to go here in Bristol. We come through now on the exit of turns 4 on the same lap, just doing what I can to stick with Blaney, but then the caution comes out with 14 laps to go, and that will force a late race restart on the field now as we will be restarting from P2. We clearly do not have a car capable of beating Ryan Blaney, but anything can happen in a late race restart at Bristol Motor Speedway, and I'm hoping that we'll have a chance to win this race now as the green flag is out and potentially the final restart is underway. 11 laps to go here in Bristol Motor Speedway. Right behind us you see the 8 of Tyler Reddick, the 6 of Ryan Newman, 2 kind of underdogs ready to pounce on an opportunity now as we dive down into turns 3 side by side with Blaney, but he clears us, but as we come through out of turns 4 trying to get to his outside, just didn't quite have the run I needed as we hit 10 laps to go, but we send it up the outside through turns 1 and 2, but just still don't have anything for Blaney. But I did notice whenever that 12 car would decide to run the outside, like that right there, that would allow me to actually close the gap to him. So I was hoping that he was just going to continue running up top. Now as we came through to 6 laps to go, then 5 to go, now hitting 4 laps to go, and he had continued to run this top lane right here, but even when he was running the top, he was still doing a good job holding me off as we come through out of turns 2, nearly into the outside wall. That allows him to open up the gap again, but he continued running the top as we come through to just 2 laps to go here in Bristol, sending it up the outside side, not quite enough there for the exit of the corner on Blaney. About a car length between himself and I as we have one more lap to go. Once we hit the line, this time out of turns 4 on the back of Blaney, we give him a bump now as we come through, starting the final lap here on Bristol Motor Speedway. Sideways goes the 12 of Blaney from our contact. We're side by side now on the exit of turns 2 on this final lap. We almost were able to get in front of him. Couldn't quite make it happen here on the final lap, side by side for the win through turn 3. And now to turn 4, Blaney though is going to win in Bristol in a thrilling final lap as we come through to cross the line in P2 and beat the top 3 goal, which means we very well are going to have a contract offer from Joe Gibbs Racing next season, and obviously it's up to me if we want to take that and replace Erik Jones. Obviously, we're the top candidate to replace Erik Jones. It looks like we're going to beat Harrison Burton out for that, but I had a chance to win the race there. That was all on me, running into the back of Blaney, getting him sideways down into turns 1. Like I said, I need to change how the AI are with saving the car, because he shouldn't get bumped in turns 4 and lose it in turns 1. Unfortunately, though, when I was trying to avoid him, I just went way too wide and almost hit the outside wall, and it didn't quite work out there, as I could have got to the throttle earlier, but it probably wouldn't have worked out. I probably would have hit the wall. But unfortunate how that ended. Still a great finish for us, P2. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. So thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we go back to the Xfinity Series playoffs. Have a great day, everybody.